Hello and welcome to Game Week 11 predictions. Last week I got 5 points, taking me to a total of 51 points. This week we're going to kick off with Spurs versus United. So Spurs last week, they faced Chelsea and they had an awful game. They legit didn't do anything. Everybody was bad, but one player in particular, Xavi Simons, my God. I've never seen a player give the ball away that many times, and Vicario saving them once again. That's his third good game in a row. Without Vicario, it could have been 3-0 or something like that. But then they did have the Champions League game where they dominated against Copenhagen. Ended up getting a 4-0 win at home, which is impressive because at home they don't really have a good time. And as for United, they were actually pretty decent in the first half. But then in the second half, they sort of fell asleep or something for 5 minutes, conceded twice to 2 crosses. Again, United struggling with crosses. But then they Ahmad rescues a point at the end with a wonderful goal. And I do think a draw is a fair result here. For this matchup at Spurs' Stadium, these two teams, either one could win and it could end in a draw. Recently, everything has happened. It's kind of random. But considering Spurs' horrendous home form and also that United struggle away from home, I do see this game being tight, and therefore I'm going for a 1-1 draw. Next up is Everton versus Fulham. Everton, they really didn't do much in their Sunderland game other than those first 20 minutes where they did get their goal, but it was a moment of brilliance from Ndiaye, taking on 5 opponents and then shooting and getting his goal. But Ndiaye could be injured for this game, but I'm going to predict that he starts here. And as for Fulham, they finally get their first win after 5 games. So that was a crucial win against Wolves there. But I don't give any points to Fulham or credit simply because Wolves had a red card and, well, they were expected to win at that point. For this matchup, Everton against Fulham, Fulham have had a pretty good time at Everton's home, beating them 3 times in the last 5 encounters. But I do think it's different this time around. Fulham away from home is pretty bad. They concede 2 goals on average per game. But Everton also isn't the best at home. At least they haven't been this season. They've only scored on average a goal per game. But I think it'll be different this time. I think Everton will score a second one, therefore being a 2-1 win to Everton. Next up is West Ham versus Burnley. West Ham, they beat Newcastle and get their first win at home this season. And that is Nuno's first win in charge of West Ham as well. But I do think they got a little lucky with their goals. One of them was an own goal even. I didn't really like the look of West Ham. As for Burnley, very poor from them against Arsenal, so I don't really blame them that much. But they did almost get a goal. They hit the post at the last minute. But overall, it wasn't the best from Burnley, especially because they were at home. I wanted a little bit more from them. But for this matchup, we have West Ham, who just got their first win at home against Newcastle. And then we have Burnley, who from away from home do struggle a lot. And I do think Burnley's going to come into this game thinking it's a relegation battle. A 6-point swing here. So I think Burnley will be sitting back a lot more, letting West Ham have the ball and try to hit them on a counter. And I do see it working out. Therefore, I'm going to have a 1-1 draw here. Next up, we have Sunderland versus Arsenal. Sunderland faced Everton, and they were the better team, but those first 20 minutes killed them because it led to a goal, and all they could do is get a draw, even though I do think they should have gotten the win. So a good game there at home. As for Arsenal, they faced Burnley, and of course they get another set piece and got their first goal off a set piece. But then they got another goal. They looked good against Burnley, but not the best. But then again, they got another game where they did not face a shot on target. So these guys are looking very hard to break down. And then they get another clean sheet in the Champions League against Slavia Prague, which was a little bit more difficult, but again, they didn't concede. Now this matchup, Sunderland versus Arsenal, 2 teams who are very solid at the back. Sunderland do play a 5 at the back, or at least they have been playing a 5 at the back. And I do expect them to do it here against Arsenal, and Arsenal do struggle breaking down 5 at the back. So I do think they'll struggle, Arsenal, but the fact that there is a home game for Sunderland will most likely have some of the ball and go at Arsenal, therefore opening them up and allowing Arsenal to go through. So I do think Arsenal win here. Sunderland, I don't think will be a team to score on Arsenal. Again, Arsenal are harder to score on, but I don't think Sunderland is that team. A very low scoring game here, 1-0 win to Arsenal. Next up, we have Chelsea versus Wolves. Chelsea, they faced Spurs, and they looked good because Spurs were awful. That's the only reason they looked good, in my opinion. They would have looked better if they scored more goals. João Pedro had a chance that he just fluffed, and then Gittins, I mean, my God, Gittins has been awful. And then they go to the Champions League and play Karabag, where they drew 2-2. I mean, that's an awful result for them. A couple players there also played bad. Hato, one of the main ones that played awful. He's also a signing that's been struggling. And as for Wolves, they faced Fulham, and they got a red card, which completely killed their game. And then it led to a loss, and then leading to Victor Pereira being the fourth manager to get sacked in the Prem. So a new manager bounce here potentially in this game, but I don't see it. When these two teams face in the Stamford Bridge, Wolves has only won one game in their last 10, and Chelsea has won 6. So I do think Chelsea's going to win here, but not by much, especially because Chelsea is bad at home. But Wolves are awful away from home. They've only scored once. But still, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Chelsea. Next up is Crystal Palace versus Brighton. Crystal faced Brentford, and they had a good game. They had very low possession in the game, but still were very effective, which is classic Crystal Palace, right? They don't really want the ball, but they still win the game. As for Brighton, they beat Leeds 3-0 with Welbeck getting a goal, so he's in hot form, and then Gomez, who I think should be starting every game. I have high stocks in him. He gets a brace, and they continue their great home form. For this matchup, Crystal versus Brighton, in the last 6 times they faced, it has ended in a 1-1, except for the most recent time where it ended 2-1. But considering Brighton's away form, which isn't great, they've conceded twice on average per game, and they have lost 3 of their 5 away games. As for Crystal, they haven't lost a game at home. They've drawn 3 times and they won twice. So I do think Crystal's going to win here. I'm going to give them a 2-1 win. Next up is Villa versus Bournemouth. Villa last week faced Liverpool, and they were pretty bad. They had a tactic of playing out the back. Don't know why they would do that against Liverpool, and they kept doing it even though they saw that there was a mistake from it that they conceded from, and then they did it again. I don't understand what was that from Emery. They should have just sat back, soaked up the pressure without the ball, right, and then countered. As for Bournemouth, they faced City, and they had a solid performance, especially in the second half. They made the game like more even, I would say. When Villa is at home, they have won 3 of their 5 games, and when Bournemouth is away from home, they do a little bit of everything. It's almost even what they have done. And this is a game of strong players versus technical players. And I do think they'll be canceling each other out. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Next up is Brentford versus Newcastle. Brentford, they lose to Crystal Palace, a 2-0 loss, which continues their poor away form. And then there's Newcastle, who had a good start against West Ham, first 5 minutes, and then they folded. Poor defending from them. They continue having no away wins. So this is another away game, so we'll take that into consideration. But then they beat Bilbao in the Champions League 2-0, and they look pretty good doing it. In this matchup, Brentford versus Newcastle at the G-Tech, there's a winner. It usually doesn't end in a draw, so I'm going to pick a winner here. And considering that Newcastle is awful away from home, and Brentford have won 3 of their 5 home games, I'm going to give it to Brentford here. And I'm going to say that Brentford actually win 2-0. Next up is Forest versus Leeds. Forest, they looked good against United, and I do think that was probably their best game of the season. A great start to the second half of the game for them, which led to 2 goals and leading to their point that they got at the end of the game. And then there's Leeds, who faced Brighton, and they really did struggle. Couldn't create anything. Perry was put on overtime. He had a decent game. And Forest at home, they have been struggling. They have lost 3 of their 5 home games, conceding twice on average per game. But then there's Leeds, who from away from home have only won once and lost the other 4. And they conceded 12 goals in those 5 games, only scoring 3. So I do think Leeds is going to lose here. Those stats are just awful. And Forest have been picking it up a little bit. It is their home. They should strive to get out of the relegation zone, and I think they will here, but I still think it's going to be low scoring here. I'm going to go for a 1-0 draw. Then we have the last game of the game week. Big game here, City versus Liverpool. City faced Bournemouth, and from that game, we saw that Turkey needs to start. I mean, Turkey, my God, I didn't know he was this good. getting himself 2 assists for Haaland, and Haaland getting himself again a brace. And then also the two Nicos, Nico Gonzalez and Nico O'Reilly, both need to start as well. They have been phenomenal. And no bad players. Like, nobody had a bad game, so that's great. And then same thing for the Dortmund game in the Champions League. We beat them 4-1. Great performances from basically all the players, and nothing bad to say about them. So good. As for Liverpool, they also had a good time last week, or this week as well. They beat Villa at Anfield 2-0. Their pressing worked wonders for them. They just saw Villa wanted to play out the back and said, okay, we'll press. And it worked out. Got 2 goals from it. Deserved win for them. And then another deserved win against Real Madrid. This is a big one in the Champions League. 1-0. Even though it was 1-0, it should have been more. They did not let Madrid breathe. Great game from them, which sucks because now they're facing us. Now, when these two teams face at the Etihad, in their last 15 games, Liverpool has won twice, while City has won 8 times. But the most recent time they faced, Liverpool won. So one of those two was the most recent game. And currently, City at home has won 4 of their 5 games, conceding less than 1 goal per game. As for Liverpool away from home, that's where they struggle. They've lost 3 of their 5 games. But considering what they have done in the last 2 games, keeping a clean sheet in both, I do think they have picked it up. I think Arne Slot found his 11. He's going to stick with it because it's worked last 2 games. Except he did switch out Gakpo for Verse, but I think Gakpo is going to come back for this game, which is basically the team he had last season, almost, I believe. So he's sticking to what worked last season, and I think it's going to give us a hard time. But I don't think they'll beat us, of course. Or I shouldn't say of course, but I don't think they'll beat us, but I don't think we'll beat them. I'm going to go for a low-scoring game here. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. So those are my Game Week 11 predictions. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, and peace.